RMJ Movie Reviews back again. And I'm a little bit late with this trailer review of Stephen King's It, the reboot. Just to give a little background, like I said, for 150,075 times, I believe when this film came out, I was, I think, 8. And I did see this when the miniseries premiered in 1990 on, I believe it was ABC that it came on. But it's kind of interesting now, 20-something years later, is that this movie airs on the Family Channel. But at the time when the miniseries originally came on ABC, this was very much pumped up as the movie that it really essentially is a very adult thriller about a entity that murders children and lures them in the form of a clown. But it airs on the Family Channel now, which is really freaky. I was part of the children who were raised on Stephen King's It. The movie's terrifying to me. Rewatching it now, the film is very dated. But again, you know, people have to realize that at that time, the late 80s and the early 90s, there was a big thing in TV movies and miniseries, and especially Stephen King and Clive Barker and all those horror novel people. That was a big thing, that a lot of their material was being turned into TV movies at the time. And really, the standout, obviously, of that movie is Tim Curry, which Tim Curry is a brilliant actor, Rocky Horror Picture Show legend, Home Alone 2. I mean, the man can do anything. He's a fabulous actor. And he's the one thing that everybody remembers about that movie. And really looking at the entire miniseries, he doesn't have that much screen time, but he's terrifying. Every time he's on screen, there's only one scene where he's really not that scary, and I think that's the scene in the library where he's kind of goofing it up. But overall, he's very terrifying in that film. And I was one of the people that movie terrified me. I mean, he frightened me to death in that movie. I was 8 years old. It was him as Pennywise, Pet Sematary, the original movie that scared me. And there was a movie I had seen, the guy who directed Jeepers Creepers, that he abused the kid on, called Clown House. And Clown House was a very scary movie. Those of you might be able to find it on YouTube. I think YouTube took it down. But Clown House, to me, and my friends at the time, when we saw it on the Showtime cable network, was just a scary, scary movie. I've watched it again in the last couple of years. It's not as, I still think it has creepy stuff in it, but I can kind of, you know, see the dated nature of it. But I think it's still creepy. Clowns are creepy. Now, people who are really hating on the miniseries and putting it down now and saying, oh, it's cheap, it's bad. I never thought the miniseries was bad. I believe, just like everybody else believed at the time, was that the first half was good and the second half with the adults was not good, namely because Pennywise doesn't even really play that much of a part in the second half of the series. The spider thing at the end was just it was just a hard thing to adapt to the screen. I never read the book, but I hear parts of the finale of the book involve this spider thing. It was, and Tommy Lee Wallace says on the commentary, because I own the DVD, is that was just a hard thing to bring to film, let alone that it was a low-budget miniseries. So they were screwed either way on that ending. And the ending just never came out good. I wasn't satisfied with the time. Nobody else was. Everybody still agrees the first half is really good with the kids. But do I think the miniseries 1990 It is bad in any way? I don't think so. I really think it's a good movie. I mean, granted, it's a low-budget miniseries, and it has a lot of low-budget effects, but I still think that the child actors, Tim Curry, and some of the adult actors, which a lot of people kind of make fun of the fact that the guy from Night Court and John Ritter, Three's Company, all these, Olivia Hussey, who she's really good in the movie. But they make fun of that a lot of these TV actors, the guy from the Waltons is in it. They kind of make fun of the fact that it doesn't have as much power. But I don't think they were good. The only thing I really don't like is the guy from the Waltons with the ponytail. I just really wish he wouldn't have had that late 80s, early 90s, like, ponytail thing, because it was just, like, not hot. Seagal was the only one who could rock the ponytail at that time. But I like the miniseries. You know, it's dated, like I said, but I still like it. Now, on to this new trailer. This new trailer, I'm a little bit skeptical because I know the guy who did True Detective was originally attached, and I was really excited because I love True Detective season 1, and once I found out that he wasn't attached anymore because they couldn't agree on something, I was really disappointed. That's really the only thing that's got me skeptical about it. As far as the trailer is concerned, I thought the trailer looked good. It hit. It looks like the marketing is very in touch with being faithful to what the miniseries was and kind of being faithful to all the points that I've read online about the book, because I never read the book. I actually look forward to reading it, but novels and stuff are just not my thing. I just don't get into them, but I'll give it a shot. But it really, of course, that sewer scene, which is what we all remember from the miniseries, which I still think that's regardless of how low budget the miniseries is and how cheap it looks, I really still think that that's a very creepy and a very hurtful, awful scene, man. To hear that little boy scream like that it's really a horrifying and awful scene, no matter how cheap the miniseries looks. And it hits that point very well. I'm very curious as to, being that this movie's going to be an R, there's going to be blood. I'm really curious as to how they're going to handle the violence, because it's a story that involves violence towards children, the murder of children. So it's a heavy story, and like many people said in Stephen King's book, there's always a through line of like childhood abuse. That's a big part of the story of it, is that there's a lot of childhood abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse. There's a lot of that. That's a through line through the story. So I'd really like to see that expanded upon in an adult way in this film. You know, a little bit more heavier, because it's hinted at very strongly in the miniseries. You know, stuff with the girl and her father, and there's very creepy things in that miniseries that make it very inappropriate for children. But I'd also like to see, there's many things that at the time, friends of mine who actually read the novel, who told me stuff like the leper man, and there's all kinds of things that I had heard about that were left out of the miniseries. I'm really curious to see that put back. Obviously, one of the things I'm not interested in seeing in the movie is the orgy things with the kids. That is something that I do not understand, even in terms of fantasy. I just don't get that, and I don't think it's needed, nor is it wanted. So they can just leave that out. Henry Bowers, the kind of the psychopath kid, I'm hearing that there was a lot of kind of homosexual abuse kind of stuff that he was involved in the book. You know, kind of, you know, having things happen to him from other guys and all that. That's something else I think they can leave out. Although if they really want to get depraved and really kind of go a little bit deeper with a sociopath, psychopathic child personality, I suppose they can put it in if they want to kind of build upon this kind of toxic, sick place called Derry. I suppose they can leave that in. I don't need it, but if they really just want to make it more vile, I suppose they can throw it in just for depraved purposes. But, you know, I think they can do without it, unless they just want to shock you. You know, which I think even in the miniseries, when Henry Bauer has, I think, Stan, and he starts flicking his buttons on, I think it's kind of, you kind of get an uneasy feeling that, you know, he might kill him, but you're kind of getting an uneasy feeling that this might go in another direction. You know, if you rewatch it again, you're kind of like, I don't know, maybe something else might go down here. That's kind of what I took from it. Maybe I'm twisted. But I thought the trailer looked good. The little parts of Pennywise that I saw were creepy. It's going to be hard for me to kind of accept somebody else playing that role because Tim Curry did it so good. But I'm not going to get my hopes up too high, but I'm really curious as to see where they go with the film. One side note is that I think that apparently, I don't know if they're filming it right now, or it's supposed to be that if this one is successful, they're going to film the second part with the adults. I'd really like to see that. One of the things I'm excited about is that I can't remember his name, but he was the black character out the Losers Club, is going to be played by Stephen Williams from 21 Jump Street and Jason Goes to Hell, which I'm amped to see Stephen Williams back on the big screen, because I haven't seen him on anything in a while. I saw him do an interview like a year or two ago, and my man was like seriously chewed. I mean, like he smoked something before he did that interview, and he was like bonkers. So I'm curious to see how. I'd really be excited to see him bring that character to the screen. So those are my thoughts on the It reboot, kind of combined with the 1990 miniseries. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, leave comments down below, and hit the bell. And let's talk about Stephen King's It reboot and the miniseries. RMJ Movie Reviews. I'll see you soon.